Hey, what's up, guys? We're going to build some sounds with the multi-poly. I'm really enjoying this at the moment. So I'm going to take a look at just building a sound from scratch. One thing that I was a little bit kind of disappointed with is the implementation of the arpeggiator, or arpeggiator at first. Korg, if you're listening, it would be super cool to be able to activate the arpeggiator individually for each of the layers. But the more I've been playing with these sequences in this, I realize how powerful they are and how intuitive they can be in terms of getting sort of really detailed and experimental sort of movement in your sequences and ARP lines. So let's do something just from scratch. I'm gonna actually be doing this on the software, so you can follow along. If you've got the software, I've got the hardware sitting over there as well. Obviously they integrate perfectly. What I've been finding the workflow that's really nice for me is actually to start stuff on that, kind of get things going and then polish ideas off on this side, either with the editor or with the actual multi-poly plugin. And it's just such a nice workflow as well to be able to do something there and then move on and actually just have the option to basically, just save it in the state in your DAW. But yeah, so let's start with something completely fresh here. I want to just kind of build sort of an ARP patch here with some interesting movement and things. We're going to, let's just use the Prophet template. And we'll start off on our editor section here. We are going to run the arpeggiator for this, so we might as well just turn it on in the meantime. Pretty simple as well, the algorithms they give you. It might be nice to have a few more options here as well in terms of how the ARP works. There's also another thing here to reset it like you do with something like Diva. You get some really interesting movement with Diva when you can actually reset the ARP from a note counter here, essentially. But we're going to get something similar to that as soon as we get into the sequence here. So let's go back to our layer here. I want to dial in just sort of quite a simple sound for underneath. We're going to go with like a big stereo kind of sound here as well. So what we can do is let's get these panned out to the left and right. So we'll kind of copy the two. So actually play around with this first. Bring the filter. There's another thing that I'm not crazy about with the plugin is this kind of menu hopping. You can't have everything on the screen at the same time. I think, if they'd kind of maybe just shrunk down some of the stuff here and opened this up or given you an option to open them both would be really nice. But it is extremely deep, so I do understand that it's a little bit difficult to kind of give you everything at the same time, yeah? Let's get a little bit of pulse width modulation going on this. Okay, we'll detune this one slightly. Now what we can do is we can copy this oscillator across to this one. So we've got two of the same. We start getting, if we detune this the other way, we get some nice detuning thickening of this. But what I like to do as well to pan these hard left and hard right. And maybe just stick one more in here. Key tracking. Cool. I'm going to layer another sound on top of this. We'll come back and do some additional tweaking of this one. Actually, we could maybe do that now. Let's leave this one as it is for now. I'm going to bring in a second layer here. And you can see that they all kind of link to the same arc. Let's go with something a little different here, maybe either a wavetable or a wave shaper. Okay, let's go with something like this. And I'm going to bring in the sequencer now to kind of just play around with the actual arps that we have. Let's turn this on. And what we're going to do first, we're going to be using everything because we're running the arp now. The sequencer don't have a time to sort of take this into account because you're re-triggering the sequencer every single time. But what we can do is have this go to note advance. So every time you play a note, it's going to advance the step further. Because we've got the arpeggiator running now, if we stick to octaves, for example, we can actually generate some interesting differences now to our arpeggiator that we have by bringing in some additional pitches. And let me stick to that. And we can also shorten this as well, so we kind of get sort of more polyrhythmic kind of stuff happening. This is now enabled on the sine wave layer only, so take a listen to what we have now. Really, really interesting stuff that we have going there now. So we can also play around further with other controls here too. Let's maybe take the sequencer lines. So this is a bit of a pain for me as well. I wish you could kind of do this all in one go. As I kind of want them to be this SNH mod, because you kind of get too much sort of gliding between the two. When you're doing this on the keyboard itself, it gives you the option to record these movements in, and it is actually a continuous movement. But I want these to be stepped per note that's been played. So we're going to go note advance again. I'm just going to set up this first one to have SNH mod, and we'll just do copy the step. I haven't found a way to, well, let's just check. Maybe it'll do. Okay, there you go. So that works on the editor at least. Copy the first one, and then just you can paste the same thing to all of them. And now you have the SNH values for all of those. Right now, then we can go and dial in some values here. I want to just be positive only because we've got our gain on our wave shaping oscillator set to 0. And I think let's kind of do this again. Bring this one back, and we can do some interesting stuff here now, playing around with how the sequencer works. We can have this one go back to front as well, so it will play forward and backward. We don't currently have the sequencer A assigned to anything, so if we go back to the synthesis page now, we can come and bring in sequencer A, put that onto our gain for the wave shaping oscillator, and dial up the intensity a little bit here. So take a listen to what we have now. You can also do this with the shapes too, which is another interesting thing. If we go with maybe sequence B, like 1, maybe 2 that are going to be adding some sort of spike to the sound here. What we want to do here with this one is to actually dial in shapes for that. So we can actually you can have various different shapes. So let's go with a pulse short, or maybe I want something even shorter, 25% pulse short. And let's go with a mid pulse. Might need to change those up depending on the effect that we get, but let's play around with Seq B now, Sec B, and we're gonna set this one to note advance as well, but we also gonna set that note to advance there as well, and then we're gonna use the shape for B. Okay, let's see, let's go to B. There we go. Let's just see what we can do with this now. So let's maybe put it on the pitch and see what happens. So let's go to our tuning here. We'll add in, you can do that manually. It's actually much easier to just grab this and just chuck it on the tune knob. And let's take a listen to what that effect has now. Okay, so let's copy this one, put it in here into oscillator 2. We're going to set this to sync. I'll just do single, we don't need double. So we're going to have this one sync to oscillator 1. Let's just go change the amount of gain here on this one. This one will also modulate the, I actually want that to be a wave shaper as well. And maybe we'll dial in some modulation on this one. But I want this one to sync to oscillator 1. So we'll go back to synthesis again, yeah, and we want to dial in the pitch for this one, not that one. So I'm going to remove this one here. We'll go sequence B again to the tuning here. Go pretty extreme with this one now because we are synced to oscillator 1 as well. And let's also do the A sequence on our gain for this one. Let's also just tweak the settings for this B. I want to just change these shapes too. We can also set probabilities for these as well. And we can set probabilities for this as well. So let's maybe add in a 50% probability for some of the tweaks that we have to the actual pitches as well. Okay. And we could also bring in some probability now based on the volume choose. So we could actually, let's go back to our chord set sequence again. Let's do this. We'll have this minus 100. Again, let's just set this as a SNH. We'll set all of these as SNH once again. Let's bring this down to 100, minus 100. Let's do that minus 100 there. And let's get that one. And let's set this one to probability. We'll bring that probability of this one down as well. Okay, so C now as well. We're also going to use the node advance once again. We'll go back to synthesis. And this time around, what we're going to do is we're going to actually pull down the volume of these oscillators based on what's happening here. So because it's a negative value, we can just assign this upwards. Right, okay, so now we've got some interesting movement going on there. We can now start applying effects separately to each of these layers as well. So we could go with, let's say, for instance, we'll go with a more prominent sort of stereo delay on this top layer. Let's go with stereo cross. Bring up the reverb on this one too. Now the reverbs are master effects that are applied per layer. So I want to kind of get these a little bit more percussive still too. Let's actually assign maybe some randomness to these as well. These ones you've got to do manually though, so come in here, go to generator and use the random positive negative here. Cool, let's play around just with the layer 1 again, yeah. And we can pretty much do the same thing here too. Let's maybe just do a slightly more simple thing This one, maybe give that a bit of probability. Use note advance and just a little bit, yeah. We'll just give it 2, and these ones are 50% chance. Another cool thing to do with a sequencer and something like this is to maybe adjust the filter envelope shapes. Yeah, it's also just go back to layer A again, and I know this is kind of confusing. This is the one other problem with this multipoly is the amount of stuff in here can be quite hard to keep track of it sometimes. To just adjust the filter decay times here as well, using some sort of actually, maybe we do this just without the sequencer. We'll just do this with a random amount, so we can just, again, add in. You could also do this with a sample and hold LFO shape, but I think we'll just go with a random, yeah. Generators, we're just going to use a slightly random positive for this one only. Using another random positive here for the envelope amount. And let's just maybe get this one to stand out a little bit more. We'll just use the effects. There's a really nice compressor preset in here as well. Really punches that one. There we go. We'll use just a slightly different delay as well on the lower arps here. So let's go back to edit. I'm not using much reverb on those, but we're going to just bring in a little bit of a delay. And we're looking for the effects page. One last thing I want to do here, I want to kind of just bring out those sine wave things a little bit more, the wave shaping on oscillators on layer B. So I'm just going to jump into the effects here, and in the pre-effects there's a bit crusher mode here. Just dial in a little bit of crunch on that. There we go. Let's check out the final product now. We'd have to set up some macros too, like here, for example. I'd want to be able to access the filters from one single control. Cool. There you go. Right, so yeah, I'll do plenty more stuff like this around this plugin. I think this is super, super cool. The sound that comes out of this is just really, really good. It is daunting at first. It can be frustrating in terms of the UI, but once you kind of get a feel for it, really, really is powerful. Even if you're just using a single layer. Cool, so go check it out. Super cool this. We're doing plenty more stuff with this one, both sound design videos and some patches and stuff. I'll put a few patches up on the Patreon page as well for Patreon subscribers. You guys can go grab those and play around with those. They may need some work as well. I'll probably do a full bank at some point to put up on the website. But until then, I'll put the stuff that's kind of complete. They don't all have full macros and the XY pads and stuff assigned as is. But yeah, you can go grab those. Cool. See you soon. Cheers.